Welcome to Martini Time. It's been a long day. I had a friend come over, and we watched a movie and went out to lunch. And but that was bookended with the Congressional investigation of Peter Strzok and the FBI, which was quite a circus. And I had to, and my metaphorical, philosophical, mythological thinking clicked in, and as you know, I like to connect dots. And I also am a biblical historian, in the sense that I see the reenactment of the Bible in current history, but not the way you think. So let's, and also the reenactment of the Protestant Reformation and the Holy Roman Catholic Church. These were transformative shift, Reformation, with the birth of Protestantism. It's a fundamental change in our understanding of grace. Now let me explain. Why is the title of this talk is the FBI and the priest? Now, why there are two views here of grace. Now, by grace, I mean, how does power flow? Grace is power flowing through something. We usually think of it in terms of the power of God flowing through something to give you grace. Well, when it comes to institutions, you have the power of the institution flows through the president, flows through the FBI. In other words, the individual FBI agent has no power. It's his office that has power. The individual human being who is president does not have presidential powers. It's the office. Now, Catholicism and the Protestantism is also about how grace flows in through some vehicle. Now, the Catholic tradition, particularly throughout the Holy Roman Empire, the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church was the instrument for salvation through the sacraments. The whole Middle Ages was about that, period. All of those Gothic cathedrals built in the late Middle Ages was about salvation. And the church, in the Catholic view, is the vehicle for grace through the sacraments. So the priest is the instrument for that flowing of grace through the sacraments, but the power flows through the church. So the Catholic priest can go out and drink and tell dirty jokes, and they also get into sexual trouble, but I don't want to go in that. But in other words, from the Catholic view, the personality of the priest does not block the flow of grace through the sacraments. So the office is the vehicle for grace, and the priest, the morality of the priest does not block the grace, you see. It flows through the church. Now, Protestantism changes that. The Protestant Reformation said that grace flows through the moral integrity of the minister. Your character, your individual character, is the conduit for grace, not the church, you see. Not the institution, but the minister is the conduit for grace. So the minister has to be pretty pure. He can't go out and drink and tell dirty jokes and have sex, whatever. Not that they can't put up. You see what I mean? I know most Protestant ministers. If you're around, like being around a Protestant minister, sometimes like being around an English teacher. You clam up right away. Did I make misstated grammar? Did I say something wrong? So you kind of like close down, you see. Whereas the Catholic priests will get there and tell dirty jokes with you and smoke a cigar and have a drink. We all know that, you see. But the difference is, where does grace flow through? Now, this argument with the FBI is that the agent Strike, or whatever, had a personality flaw. He texted with his girlfriend about his bias towards Clinton and Trump. But the office of the FBI was kind of like the sacraments of the church. So his claim is that my personal preferences did not interfere with the flow of power through the office, you see. Republicans say, yes, it did. That your personal preferences corrupted the flow of power through your office. And he said it didn't. In the same way that the Catholic priest would say, I had a cigar and a drink last night. That doesn't stop God's grace from flowing through the sacrament when I do Mass. You see, isn't that interesting? And this is bigger than we think. Protestant worldview focuses on the individual's morality as a vehicle for salvation. So if you're immoral, you're going down there. You're not going up there. It's up to you. Catholicism has a more lenient view on that, is that the sacraments can remove the blocks, you see. Just go to confession and get cleaned up. You know, it's kind of like take an enema. With the Protestant is, if you're plugged up, you're going to hell. So, but anyway, I'm just drawing general ideas here, and I just thought it was interesting how the two views in this, what's going on today between the FBI as a institution, and is the office of the institution corrupted by the personality of the people who fulfilled that office? See, we got into trouble with Clinton that way. So Clinton is the president whose office is the vehicle of grace. Power goes through that office, you see. So he had a moral failing. Now, his moral failing, did that stop the flow of power through the office and remove and make him ineligible for the office because of his moral failing, you see? Was that going to influence his office, his power? This has never been a problem before because presidents had mistresses. The whole idea of the power of an office being influenced by your personal peccadillos was never a problem. You see, JFK had mistresses. FDR. You know, that their private life is their private life. It doesn't affect their office, you see. But suddenly, now it affects the office. Obama fell into the same thing too, only his immorality was not moral choice, but his race. He would block the flow of grace or power because of his race. Where with Clinton, it was his moral character. You see. And the irony is now that it's completely flipped. Trump is totally immoral. His personality is totally corrupt. And yet, from his founders, it has no effect on the power flowing through the office. You see. But with the FBI agent, yes, your personal preferences blocks the flow of power. Everything's all screwed up. People don't know what they're doing. Basically, it ends up, who do you like? What do you prefer? Whatever you perceive, you're going to find a justification for it. And that's the postmodern world. The postmodern world is the world we're living in now, in which reality is what you perceive. Perception creates reality. So if you perceive it this way, you're going to see reality that way. Somebody else will look at the same facts and see a different reality. So now we're living in a wall-eyed world with two eyes looking at different realities, or a schizophrenic world, a neurotic world, an anxious world, an angry world, because we're split and we don't know what's true. We don't know what's real anymore. It used to be there was one objective world. Now there's two, or three, or multiple. And the media supports the channels, the media will support the reality, these different realities. So we live in a hall of mirrors. No wonder we're going nuts. Thanks for dropping in. Okay.